Hi, this is Carl the Cobra Frutch, and you're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law. And with me via Zoom, I'm delighted to be joined by Ziyad Almaayouf. Ziyad, good evening. First of all, thank you for taking your time out to speak to us. How are you doing?
All good, all good. Thank you for giving me the platform. Of course, it's my pleasure to be here and to speak to you. I love doing this stuff. It's a part of giving back, so it's what I want to do.
Well, I appreciate that. And obviously, it's a pleasure for us as well to have you on, come to speak to us for the very first time. Let's just obviously talk about the last few weeks. It's been a very busy and exciting few weeks for yourself. This time last week, you featured on the Anthony Joshua, Jermaine Franklin undercard.
Yeah.
You find a promotional deal with Let's Go. With it's gone from my
Skill
mind.
Challenge Promotions.
Yes, Skill Challenge Promotion. It's been a very, very busy period for you the last few weeks, but the main thing is you got a win. Let's just obviously talk about your fight last week. You got a win. You got some solid rounds under your belt.
Yeah.
How would you assess your performance on last week's undercard of the Anthony Joshua and Jermaine Franklin?
I think my performance is as good as just following my game plan. We went in there with a specific game plan in my head. We wanted to go all the rounds because it's my last 4 round fight. So I have an esteemed trainer and Coach Buddy McGirt. He's a Hall of Famer, and I just do what he says. You know, you have to think of it as it's like a PlayStation. He has the remote, and he's just playing. You know, he's selecting what to do, and he's telling me what to do and what moves to make. And my job is to do it, and I trust him 100% with everything. So we worked on my defense between my second fight and this last fight because that's what we needed to pick up on. My style has changed completely, where I now have a cross arm defense. I don't know if you know what that is. Really, it's where you sort of just cross your arms while defending your punches. Yeah, yeah. And you know that defense, like Coach Buddy said, you can't teach that hand positioning and that defense to anyone. Really, it all depends on your body positioning or what school of fighting you came out of. And between the second and third fight, even though we only had 4 weeks, but he managed to change that, and we worked on it in sparring. And in the game plan, it was just to work on my defense, not get hit, and pick up a lot of my opponent's shots. We knew he was southpaw, and that's a very difficult test for any fighter. Really, we know orthodox and southpaw is very irritating to land clean punches sometimes. And yeah, you know, I think my performance was well. Of course, I'm just starting. It's just my third fight. There's a lot to improve on, but there's also a lot that I followed and I've listened to my coach. And when I listen to him, I feel like I've done what I'm supposed to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, as you said, you got rounds under your belt. Obviously with Buddy McGirt, and the main key thing for you is to keep on learning and keep on progressing.
Hmm.
As we've both mentioned now, 4 rounds under your belt, so a lot of positives to take away from the performance, from the win. I've got to ask you, what did you make of making your UK debut? How did you feel fighting in front of the UK fans and being part of an Anthony Joshua fight week? Because as you know, Anthony Joshua is a massive popular figure in the UK.
Yeah, it was a dream come true. You know, I grew up pirating Anthony Joshua's fights on my side of the world because we didn't really have boxing in the Arab world. We don't have boxing on TV. We don't have boxing in Saudi Arabia on TV. So we grew up just illegally streaming all the fights and all that stuff. So this is a person I grew up looking up to the way he speaks, the way he is a champion to the people, and the way he just represents himself off the out the ring and inside the ring. And you know, this is what I just wanted to grow up and be like. And I feel like fighting on his undercard was just the stars aligning. You know, fighting in the UK, this is where it matters now. A new audience, new sorts of pressures, and new environment. So it was a bigger test for me mentally than it was physically. And this whole journey, honestly, has been a much bigger test for me mentally than it has been physically.
But it is a journey that's moving in the right direction, and we've spoken about signing a promotional deal with Skill Challenge Promotions, and now you've obviously got the UK debut out of the way. What can you tell us about what is next in this journey for yourself? I mean, can we expect to see you back in the UK, or are we going to feature on some shows that are going on in Saudi Arabia? What's the next step for you, Ziyad?
Well, signing with Skill Challenge Promotions right now is honestly a blessing, and it's a dream come true again. What's next for me is whatever they have planned out for me. And I know that what they have planned out for me is to expose me on the biggest cards and the largest audiences there are, when the big cards and the big fights are there. I want to stay active. I want to keep on fighting. Coach Buddy wants me to stay active and keep on fighting, you know, 4 or 5 times a year, and that's what I want to do. I feel like this is the best way to improve and to keep working on my craft. But there's one thing that I believe not many people get or understand. The school of boxing that I grew up in, where I came from, it lacks so much in experience compared to the UK, Europe, the US. So me moving abroad at a late age, I have a lot of experience and a lot of learning to catch up on. And so the time where I'm not fighting, the times where I'm in camp, just traveling around with my coach or learning from other fighters, I'm trying to catch up on those levels and those years of experience that I didn't have back in the Arab world. I've been boxing since I was 11 years old, but I moved abroad at the age of 19. And when I moved abroad, it was like I started all over again. The first time I've ever seen a heavy bag that didn't move when I hit it was when I moved abroad. First time I ever saw a speed bag, a double end bag. I didn't have a boxing ring until I was 17 years old. And I've been boxing since I was 11 years old. So I have a lot of IQ and learning to catch up on. So it's all about moving me at the right direction, but even more importantly, moving me at the right time. But a fighter like me, being the first out of my country and being the first local Arab to ever do it, even to turn professional internationally, growing up from a local Arab boxing system, I have to represent even more outside of the boxing ring than I do inside the boxing ring. Change perceptions and conceptions that people have on the Arab world, and also maybe even on my religion. So it's like I just want to represent more and more and a bigger picture than just the boxing, work on my brand and work on me as a person.
Well, the Middle East is obviously growing in terms of boxing and all types of sports. We saw last December a very successful World Cup in Qatar, and we've seen in the past Saudi Arabia's hosted two of Anthony Joshua's fights with Alexander
Yeah.
and Andy Ruiz. We saw Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury. I mean, the sport is sort of globally moving towards that side, but how important is it that Saudi Arabia is not only just looked at as a hub, but also it shows that it's able to produced talent like yourself and perhaps maybe to get a first world champion from a country like Saudi Arabia? How important is it that we see more growing talent come out of places like the Middle East and Saudi Arabia?
It's the most important. It's the most important because you now have a Arab athlete, a Saudi Arabian athlete, an international athlete that can break that language barrier between both cultures and both countries and both kinds of people, where people can relate to me more. So they, no matter how different they thought the Arab world was, when they have a big figure from the Arab world, from Saudi Arabia, maybe they would start changing their perception or whatever ideas they have on the people of the Arab world, thinking that maybe we're not so different after all. You know what I mean? And it's now the boxing aspect of it, having a world, God willing, a world champion from Saudi Arabia itself, and showing people that we can produce our own talent. This is more important even to the upcoming fighters of Saudi Arabia, knowing that it could be done, that it is possible, that the support is there, the help is there. There is more help and support than I personally have gotten growing up and trying to make it in boxing to where I am now, even though I'm still just starting my career. But now they have that support from even before starting their boxing career. The equipment is there, the coaches are there, everything is there. But it's just very important to show them that it is also possible. It could be done. It's not impossible. We talk about the European fighters, we talk about the American fighters, the Mexican fighters, and now maybe one day they're going to be talking about that Saudi Arabian fighter and the Arab fighters that are going to come after him.
Well, fingers crossed that is the case, and it would be good to see more sort of young talent come out of Saudi Arabia, and hopefully that's going to be the case going forward. Um, you've got your UK debut out of the way. I'm pretty sure the plan is to be as active as
Yeah.
possible. What are the targets now for the rest of 2023? And I know boxing, it's a short career, but also timing is everything as well in the sport. But when would you ideally like to be challenging the big faces, the big names in your division? And when are you going to start looking towards a world title? Are you a fighter that wants to slowly progress, or do you think that you've got the skills to sort of start challenging the big names within the next sort of 12 to 18 months in your division?
I think in maybe 2 years' time, I will then be at that level and stage where I could compete with the biggest names in my weight class. And at this point, it's not a matter of if, but it's a matter of when. And my job is to be ready when it comes. You know what I mean? And I am a fighter that I just have to accept the reality of it, where I am a fighter that has to be slowly progressed, just because of where I've come up with and the amount of learning that I still have to do. I'm learning on the job as I'm fighting my pro fights, my first, my second, my third fight. I'm learning with each fight still, and this is just a beautiful journey. I do have that raw talent. I do have that raw skill and that physique for it, but all that stuff has to be met with some more IQ, some more teachings from my coach Buddy McGirt and my team around me. I'm just trusting the process. I don't like to think ahead too much into the future. I like to stay in the present, and the present is what else do I have to learn? And you never stop learning in this game. And as long as I keep this mentality, I'm sure that God willing, one day we will get not only one world title, but maybe multiple world titles and in multiple weight divisions as well. That's my dream, and if I learned anything from this journey is that everything is possible and all dreams do come true with hard work and faith. Anything is possible. So I'm just working, I'm staying grounded, and you just have to keep in mind, for all the champions out there, there's always someone that's working to come for what you have. And that's the position I'm at right now. I understand and I know and I trust that my time will come. It's just a matter of learning and learning and learning and trusting the process.
Well, we're definitely going to be looking forward to keeping an eye on your journey as you progress further into your career. Ziyad, I have to get your thoughts on a situation that brought to us at the beginning of the week. A guy who now lives out in the Middle East, Amir Khan. It came out that he failed a drug
Hmm.
after the Kelbrook fight.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure you looked up to fighters like Amir Khan, especially
yeah.
stages of his career. But what have you made of the whole Amir Khan failing a drug test situation, Ziyad?
Well, I saw that the UCAD released a statement, I think it was today or yesterday, where they said that the amount found in his body and during the test is not enough to enhance performance, and that because it wasn't enough to prove that he deliberately took anything, they decreased the punishment from 4 years to 2 years. So honestly, just knowing you know the personality of Amir Khan, and knowing what type of fighter he is, and being a fighter that's competed in the Olympics and just been in and around the game his whole life, he has a different respect for the sport. And when you have that level of respect in the sport, you don't cheat in a sport where you could hurt someone else. It's not in his roots or his cultures, and it's not in his personality, I feel. So I do believe that he didn't deliberately take anything. that would enhance his performance. I don't think he deliberately took anything to fail that drug test. And, he did lose the fight at the end. So if he had won the fight, we would be having a different discussion and a different argument if he took something to enhance that performance during that fight. But I don't think he would do something like that. And then clearly, UCAD doesn't believe he would do something like that either. And that's why the punishment is 2 years, not 4. And then the guy is retired. The man is retired right now. So them releasing that statement is more of a message to the fighters still active today, or the fighters that are still doing it today. Is just to put some fear in the fighters that are active today, that we still look out for those drug tests and we still give them importances, and so on and so on. It wasn't really a hit on Amir Khan, as more as a message to the other fighters using Amir Khan.
Okay, Ziyad, before another thing, as I mentioned, you featured on the undercard of Anthony Joshua versus Jermaine Franklin. What did you make of AJ's performance, and do you think AJ still has it in his locker to become a 3-time world champion?
I think AJ does have it in himself to be a 3-time world champion. I think his trainer is a world-class trainer. He knows exactly what he's doing. What I believe the people should start doing is trusting the process, because clearly AJ trusts the process. And as a fighter, what's so hard to learn, but is always on repeat when we're being taught, is trusting the process. And it's a new trainer, and he's going in with a new style. He's working behind his jab and all that. Now, do I feel like AJ is, what I'll say is, he's working on developing himself mentally? Yeah, he's working on regathering himself mentally and redeveloping himself mentally. And there is no problem with that. People should stop shaming AJ being, out of the zone sometimes, or trying to climb back up again and regather himself mentally, because at the end of the day, you never really see what fighters go through in their own head. You never see what they go through in their own head, even if it's after a loss or after a win. The pressure sometimes breaks us, and the result could sometimes break us even more. And in AJ's case, he had a lot of weight on his shoulders, and he was a symbol to the UK and to many people around the world. So it's okay to just regather and redevelop mentally. There is no problem in that. It's just a matter of time for AJ. It's a matter of time, and it's time that he has. It's no problem. You can trust that he's done it once. Once you do something once, it's much easier to go back and do it again.
Ziyad, before we bring the interview to an end, where can the viewers find you on social media, and what can we expect to see from you for the rest of 2023?
You could expect to see excitement. You could expect to see a show. You could expect to see charisma and confidence. That's what I'm here to do. I'm always here to deliver a message through a smile, and that's what I've been taught to do, and that's what I want to do. I want to bring back the old era of boxing, where confidence is expressed through charisma and personality, and not through arrogance. And so that's what you can expect, and you could also expect improvement. You could expect beautiful boxing, beautiful defense, and improvements. With each fight, you're gonna see a better Zizo and a better fighter in that ring. And you could follow me, and you could follow me on Instagram at the real Zizo.
Okay. Well, listen, Ziyad, we really appreciate your time. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Our apologies, we couldn't get to speak to you last week during fight week, but we'll make sure next time.
No problem.
UK, we'll catch up with you face to face.
Of course.
The rest of Ramadan goes well for you. And once again, thank you.
You too.
For speaking to Lights Out.
Thank you. I appreciate you, and thank you for giving me the platform. I never get used to this stuff, so it's always a pleasure.
You're most welcome. We appreciate you coming on. Thank you for talking to Lights Out.
Thank you. I'll see you soon.